What's up guys, Zero here, and today, before we take a look at any set 13 decks, I thought we'd take a look at one last set 12 deck, being Kagero, more specifically Blade Master or Ziegenburg, however you want to look at it. So this deck got some cool new upgrades, nothing like too special or anything too good to like change up the deck's playstyle, just more options to the already existing deck. So without further ado, let's take a look at the list. So as you see here, you can see there's some new cards that you see here that weren't here before, but we'll go over from top to bottom as per usual. First off, the starter, Conroe. Conroe is Conroe. There's no reason to not play Conroe until they nerf this card, and yeah, I'm not gonna go any further than that. It's Conroe is Conroe. The grade 1 lineup is largely unchanged from the old Lancer deck too. 4 PGs. I'm still personally playing the CCPG because I personally do not see the point of Dumjid after like 2 games of playing with the card. I realized that Dumjid basically does nothing. So Dumjid, if you don't know what it does, Dumjid's skill is when this card is used as a PG and you have another copy of Dumjid in your drop zone, and the difference in power for that battle is 1500 or less. So basically, if that attack was guardable, but you use the PG, you use the Dumjid to guard and you know the Dumjid drop zone, at the start of turn you can draw 1. So a few things with that. One, that condition is very pretty hard to achieve because if you're getting PG checked, that probably means you don't have it. If you within that range where the skill would proc, if you have a heal guard in hand, you would have proc the heal guard instead. So basically, it would only work if you're have PG only PG left in your hand, you can poked, and that just doesn't happen like too often. So there's that, and then also the fact that Kagero is a deck that still runs the risk of deck every once in a while. So I don't really see the point of playing Dumjid over the CCPG. Extra CB is always nice for this deck. So there's that, and then the other Blaze PG, your soul is better off for other things. Otherwise, I maybe at least consider that one. But just because of that, I think the CCPG is still the best one for this deck. For Stride Fodder, next up we have 4 Stride Fodder. It searches the new Blade Master. It searches Blade Master, so obviously you play it, and for the CC, no reason not to play this card. The card's really good. CC, something's retired. Once per turn, something's retired. If your Vanguard's grade 3 or higher Blade Master, it gets a Blaze CC1, I guess, for so 11k booster against CC. So really good card. No reason not to play. Play at least 3 of it. First, I think 4 is better because things are really good. And then the one I just swapped with Peeker because Retire is still really prevalent. This deck is quite common on ladder, so Peeker being a unretireable booster is very nice. So yeah, let's up for grade 1s, grade 2s. Lots of changes here. First off, Radiant Dragon, we're still playing 2 with this card. On play, if your Vanguard's right through a higher Blade Master, Soul Blast 1, Counter Blast 1, retire when your opponent's big 1 or lower rear guards, and then he gets plus 2k, and then you can use a falling ability if you're in Blaze. He gets plus 2k per empty for your cross circle. So big chonker, 21k attacker, if opponent's board empty, very nice. We don't play too many of it just because this card requires Soul, and Soul again is actually needed for other effects now, mainly Ziegenburg, so you don't really want to be burning your soul on too many other things, so that's why we play 2 of it. Next we're playing 4 of the grade 2 CC. As you attack Vanguard, if you're in Blaze, it gets plus 2k on hit CC, so 11k attacker, counter charge, very nice. And then next up, the new grade 2 we're playing is, I think Shakur is his name. So Blaze, and then on play, if you have less rears than your opponent, so you have to have less. So basically, when you play it, it will count as well. So basically, if you play hit, that's the only thing on the board. You'd have 1 rear. If your opponent has 2 or more, you can use this effect. Which is on play. If you have less rear than your opponent, CB1 to retire one of your opponent's rear guards. So you can pop anything as long as when it comes onto the board, you have less rears than your opponent total. So pretty good there because it gives you an external source of retire. But its other effect is also really good. If you're in Blazing, plus 2k, so 11k attacker, solo attacker, very nice. So good for a couple reasons. External source of retire, as well as it being a solo attacker. So at best, it can retire an extra card. At worst, it is a solo attacker. So I think that's already good enough because the deck was already just playing solo attackers just for the sake of having solo attackers. So solo attacker on the upside, definitely good. And finally, we're playing 3 of this guy. I think Mabudi is his name, or something like that. Blaze, and then GB2. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, if your Vanguard is a Blade Master and you are in Blazing, CB1, draw 1 plus 2. This card got heavily nerfed from what it was in the TCG. In the TCG, its skill was it's the same thing except he gets 2k per empty rear, so he would hit really big numbers. If he didn't get nerfed, you probably wouldn't play Radiant Dragon. You'd probably just max on this guy as your big chunky attacker. But he did, so that's why you don't play. That's why we still play both. Reason I'm not maxing on this card is because this card, for one, you don't always want to draw because again, deck out is still a potential issue. 2, CB is probably better off used on other things, and 3, because he needs the CB for the power, unlike Shakur, who is just a solo attacker, as long as you're in Blaze. Sometimes you just want a solo attacker, and he without paying the CB cost, and he is not that. So therefore, I scaled down on this card a little bit. I think if Soul wasn't such an issue in this deck, or rather, if we didn't need to save Soul specifically for Ziegenburg, I think I would honestly just play more Radiant Dragons. But because Soul is actually important for this deck, I chose to play more of this guy over the Radiant Dragon, just because this card. But then a draw is still solid, even if deck out is an issue. But it can be a solo attacker and it can draw you a card. Always very nice. For a Kagero, considering Kagero is still a Dragon Clan, and the deck will take whatever draw it can get. So yeah, that's it for grade 2s. And then for triggers, heal guards. So we're still playing Dio. Dio is still really good because Dio can still clear resists, although that not being as common. Dio is still a way for you to clear out double int. You just don't have another way to do it. So yeah, Dio is still a very good card. I can definitely see arguments of cutting down because just because resist isn't very common anymore. For the most part, you definitely cut down Dios and play more of this guy. This guy's skill is so more important. It has Blaze because Blaze grade 3 really matters for the one of Cohen's skill. What its skill is on play, Soul Blast 1 CB1. Choose one of your opponent's rear guard in the same column as using and retire, and then GB1 Blaze. He gets plus 2k per empty back row rear guard your opponent has. So he would hit 17 by himself with a fully empty back row. So. It has Blaze, which is important. It can retire, very nice, and it hits big numbers, also really good. So definitely a very good rear to have in the deck. And if you wanted to cut down on some overlords to play some other stuff, I definitely would recommend playing more copies of this overlord if you just don't want that many overlords in your deck. So there's that. And then finally, the new ride of the deck is the Blade Master Cohen. And it's Blaze, GB2. The skill is at the end of the turn, if your opponent's board is completely empty, you can choose a grade 3 unit with Blaze in drop zone and add it back to your hand. So grab more copies of Cohen. You can grab copies of him if you have it in a drop zone. And obviously if you're playing more of this, you have more targets to grab. So pretty good there. But basically this card just reads free shard for the end of every turn. So very good there. And then his stride bonus skill is when you stride CB1, retire a rear. So same thing as the old one. And then his add effect of give 3k to a unit with Blaze. So you can make something scale for bigger numbers, which is always nice. You can make Van go for 29. You can make this thing like a 14 booster. 14 plus 9 is already hitting, so you don't have to pay cost for this guy or this guy if you just want to make a 21 column with a booster. So very nice. Definitely just the strictest Cohen is a strictly better Blade Master. So there's absolutely no reason to play the old one over this one. This one just has a better stride bonus as well as a actual relevant GB2. So. Yeah, very nice upgrade to the old Blade Master, and definitely your new best ride in the deck. And onwards to the G Zone. So looks quite expensive here, but I'll go over what I think is actually mandatory. So first off, the Harmonics. Everyone has this card. In JP, even more important because they got the heal guard buff. The games you're about to see after this was recorded before the buffs, but even then, I still play this as a one-up because Luard exists. Link Joker is there in your 1 in 30 games where with the Harmonic, so still a nice one to have. One Vortex Desire. I think this is still a very good one-up because sometimes you want to hit GB2 to do all your skills that need GB2. Cohen, this guy is GB2 locked, although it is more awkward because you need to swing Ban first before using him, but it's there if you need GB2 just to proc this guy. So it procs your GB2, but it flips and gives your Ban on hit retire grade to a lower. So you can use this flip Titan, you can use this flip Harmonics, whatever you want. Vortex Desire is in my opinion, a very good one up in the deck. Next up, we have two Novels. Novell just doesn't come up as often as it used to now, but Novell is there. It's still guard restrict and no 6 heal, so still a very good card. If you had more space, you probably would play just max out on it, but in my opinion, you actually are just running out of space because I think the other cards are slightly better overall. So only 2 Novell, and the card you're definitely not cutting down on is Titan. I think Titan is by far your best ride. I think if there's one thing I will say you're in G-Zone you need to max out on, it is Titan. I think this is by far the best card in the G-Zone. It is good at all stages of the game. It's your best first ride, is your best random stride to go into if you don't know what to do. And then after that, you can go to it a third time if you didn't flip all your Titans on your second stride. So yeah, really good. Blaze, CB1, flip anything. Basically flip Titan, retire one per Titan face up. And then you get the draw, and then GB3 gets a crit as well. So Titan very good. And then finally, the new stride, we're playing 4 Ziegenburgs. So its skill is once per turn, Soul Blast 1 G flip to retire rear. So that's where your soul is going. Very, very use your soul because Soul Blast 1 G flip just to retire is very nice. But as you can see here, the G flip is tied to the retire. You don't. So technically, the main draw of the skill technically isn't tied to a G flip. So technically, you could get away with less copies of this card. So I will say 3 Ziegenburgs you can probably get away with. I was playing 3 for the longest time before I got my 4th. But in my opinion, I think this is optimal. The 4, but I think you definitely get away 3, even maybe even 2. You don't value a potential second restand. But the second skill is GB3 once per turn. If you're in Blazing and about that attack, a Van I think. CB1 discard cards from your hand equal number of rears your opponent has. Restand this and then draw 1 against -2 drive. So basically, if your opponent has no rears, you restand for CB1, discard at 0, and then draw 1 back. So very, very good there. They have 1, you discard 1. They have 2, discard 2, so on and so forth. So it is a restander that can retire, that can even be free if everyone just doesn't have rear. So yeah, very good. Gives Kagero an alternate finisher. A lot of the times you end up going for Ziegenburg instead of Novell. Novell is only really there when you know you have the lethal. That's why the ratios are more skewed towards more Ziegenburgs over more Novells. And like I said earlier, I think 3 Ziegenburgs is very, very workable with. If you don't have if you're like a free-to-play player and you don't intend to invest this heavily onto the Ziegenburgs, you can probably cut down to 2 Ziegenburgs for either a second pair of Novells if you already had those. If not, like a pair of Root Flares is still fine. So yeah, so that's it for the deck profile, and we will now jump into some games. So I will see you guys there. Alright, so first game, we're playing against Genesis. Fenrir has been quite popular on ladder now, and I think Fenrir is definitely a very hard match for this deck because you're a very slow deck that just plays 3 times. You see here, these games are actually really fast because, honestly speaking, I don't think there's a whole lot to talk about for Kagero. I think this deck is very, very straightforward. So, this first game you'll see my opponent actually bricked really hard, but you still got to do still got to do Kagero things. But yeah, like I said earlier, we just leave this running background. I'll explain. There's really not a whole lot to talk about. Not a whole lot of changes gameplay wise. If you've ever played the deck before, like the old Blade Masterlist, it's basically the same thing. Just yes, slightly better rears now. You have a better Blade Master, and then you have an extra way to potentially end the game in Ziegenburg instead of just going for Titan or Novell. The only real thought you need to think about is basically when your opponent's at like 4 or 5-ish, you just have to think to yourself, which stride do you think will end the game the most? The simplest way to go about this, I think, is if your opponent's at 4, Titan is almost always your best choice because Titan also draws you cards and gets a crit too. So really good there. If your opponent is at 5, Titan is probably your worst choice because you probably have other ways to just clear double int anyways, i.e. Ziegenburg. So basically, if your opponent's at 4, Titan is probably your best bet, just because it also lets you get more resources along the way. But sometimes you still might want to go for Novell or Ziegenburg depending on the situation, obviously. And then once your opponent's at 5, you just need to think yourself, do you think they for one, can you clear their board for Ziegenburg? If not, maybe you go into Titan, or do you think they have the Wraith in hand? If you don't think they do, you can go for Novell. So yeah, it's basically just a matter of like intuition, of like it's like a gut feeling. Which card do you think will end the game? Basically, more often than not, it's always a hindsight kind of thing where you like do your thing and they live or they die. It's always hindsight 50-50. What's the saying? Hindsight is 50-50 or something like that. So yeah. Most of the time there really isn't a like right answer to what you go into. It's just which one do you think is correct. So yeah. So yeah. It really just kind of game sense at that point about which one you think is the correct thing to do. And as you can see here in this game, I haven't paid absolutely zero attention to it. My opponent is slaying down a bunch of cards onto the board, and I think he's great stuck. So I just go to 4. If he wasn't actually not crazy. Like he just couldn't stride. If he could do Fenrir things, I would have lost the game on the spot. I start the game off at 4 with no intercepts in hand, with 2 heals out. So yeah, so I'm in quite the predicament here, unfortunately. But thankfully, my opponent just did not have the stride fodder to actually stride, because you can see 2-card hand, meaning his hand was Fenrir plus not stride fodder. So I just give the damage to whatever. At this point I've conceded. If he has combo, he has combo. It's whatever. I don't think I was winning this game regardless, considering how bad my hand is. And thank God my opponent just did not have the stride fodder in hand. It needed to actually end the game. So there's a Fenrir ride, and he just skips straight to main phase because he doesn't have stride fodder in hand. So lucky me. So honestly speaking, I'll just skip through this. I guess we'll just use that game as a little me of ranting about what you do. So he does this. That's pretty cool that Medusa doesn't need GB to snipe a card, but as you can see, I had like 10,000 cards in hand anyway, so it didn't matter what he sniped. Yeah, so he's great stuck. I go into here. I first ride obviously, but here I go into Titan and just pop his entire board, because I'm like, if you're great stuck and you can't do anything, no board for you means you're not allowed to do anything at all whatsoever. Yeah, so here I just clean his board up. I even swing the Van to the Taro just to get rid of an extra card on his board. And then hit that, and then I swing the rear to CC past turn. He just swings Van to rear. And here it is straight up Novell for game from 3, because 2 cards in hand. He couldn't stride, therefore the only way he could possibly live is 2 heal guards, and Fenrir does not play heal guards in the deck. For most of them don't, at least. I'm pretty sure this guy didn't, because pretty sure the Fenrir was on heal. So this is guaranteed lethal here from 3, because I'm at 5, so no defenses matter here. And then since he couldn't stride, obviously this means he has no grade 3 in hand. So even if he had the PG, he cannot survive this. So Novell from 3, and he's just dead here. Anything else would not have killed him, because I think here he hit double defensive. So I turned definitely would have gotten screwed over by Ziegenburg if I went for Ziegenburg instead. So yeah, defensive, both nulled by Novell, and then Novell just goes in for game. Hypothetically, if his hand was double heal guard, all I need would be 1 trigger here to hit over double, or hit 4 double rather. He had 1 heal guard in hand, and he's just dead here because lol Novell, and I even know the 6 heal. So I think this game shows to show off situations where Novell is still like the optimal play to go for, even though Ziegenburg is flashier, quote unquote, because it's a lol Vanguard Restand. But yeah, that can just shows there that Novell is still a very, very good card. So that's it for game 1. And game 2, I'll just scroll quickly through. I'll be playing as Nubatama. As for this matchup, I think this matchup is pretty die roll dependent, I think, as per a lot of matchups. I think Nubas go second. It's not very hard for Kagero, but I think if Kagero gets to go second, this matchup is very doable, because Kagero is one of those decks that can draw a bunch of guards and survive the Mugen Lord turn. So pretty good if you go second at the very least for this deck. So pretty slow. Both decks just kind of ride up. I think if anything, Nubas plays a lot like Kagero early in the game, because both decks kind of don't have any like super strong card that just works early, and both decks just don't have too many easy ways to generate advantage. So I think both decks play very, very similar here. I just kind of push because I'm like, if I can just kill this guy by second stride, or even maybe in first stride, it'd be very cool, because you don't really want them to Mugen Lord you, even if you are a deck that can potentially survive it. He rides a 10k, pretty annoying, and calls down another 10k, which is very annoying. And he called down a Peeker for whatever reason. Peeker is not a card you see in Nubas very often. Nubas actually have pretty decent grade 1s, so I don't know what this guy was thinking, but he does scale here because 10 plus 17, and I pushed so my heal gets blanked, but that's whatever. Here, I think I actually need to hold the Conroe because of the 10k base, so I just move that back and call down that, and just poke into the rear, poke in the face, and call it a day. So yeah, pretty slow early game, not a whole lot, nothing too special going on here. Nubas don't actually have a way to get rid of your starter, so Conroe is safe, at least not yet. I think there might be a way with the aftermath stuff, but this is before all the after image stuff came out, so no way for that to get rid of the combo, so the combo is safe for at least one more turn. And then he calls down a Genkai. Genkai is the card that lets you draw a bunch of stuff in Nubatama. I think this is by far the most important card in the deck. And it is not a card I would just willy-nilly throw out like this. I don't remember if you had another one or not, but this is definitely a card you'd want to hold in your hand as much as you can. And here, or at least hold in your hand until at least your first ride, just to draw at least one card off of it. And here you see the bear actually getting rid of the CC, which is annoying. I don't lose the card, but I don't get the instant proc off it, but it doesn't matter, it's 2 things to retire anyway, so the second retire off of Titan would still, proc the CC, so very nice there. So, annoying, but it doesn't really make too big of a difference here, so first ride is almost always Titan. The only real times you ever go to desire first ride is if you just don't have the CB to do everything you want. Because sometimes you need to clear the corner off the board because you couldn't use it yet. Sometimes you heal down and you just don't have to use CB to use Titan. Or sometimes you just don't have anything to retire with Titan. So yeah. So there's my second PG. Conroe making my third PG. So nothing can kill you on first strike because Magen Tenbu would at most check me for 3 times. So very, very good there. I CC here, and then I show off this new card, CB1, draw 1, very good, pretty solid here. Don't exactly have the biggest hand, so draw 1's always nice. And here I play for the heal because I am very, very greedy and would rather be at 3 than at 4, and I do get the heal, so very nice there. And I still get the guard check because double trigger guarantees even a defensive, I still hit you. So yeah, very nice, heal down, definitely no longer in lethal range. And I push my opponent to 5 and garner guard check in my first ride. So I'm in a very, very good position to just end the game next turn. I think my opponent just goes for Magen Tenbu here, I think. Yeah, so you see Obro can call something from drop at the start of every turn. So pretty cool there because even decks that empty out their boards, like for example like Hari, this deck can still call out at least one card to dominate with the swing at band. So very, very nice skill on the Obro to play around decks that play around it, so yeah. As you see here, he swings at the rear, and then he can dominate that. He dominates the other intercept, poke my face once, and then swing face, and then Magen would retire the grade 2 to let him poke face more times. So yeah, good there. And then he has another one of the Genkai. He dominates the grade 2. I don't remember where he swings. So he swings the face. Genkai draws him a card. I get pushed to 4, and then my intercept dies. And then that can scale the Genkai as well. In case of its potential defensive, no defensive, lose a PG, but I have more than enough to survive, so it doesn't really matter. And at this point, 10Ks don't matter at all to this deck because Kagura can just retire everything. So he goes poke. No defensive, so I do get checked twice here. So if I didn't heal down on the last turn, I would have gone checked 3 times here on their first shot. So that's still pretty threatening considering all things considered. First stride, checking 3 times from 4, pretty good. But here, I just have the guards needed, and this guy is, I think he just scooped here. I think he just gave up. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure my opponent just gave up here. So here I went for Ziegenburg. I would have gone for Ziegenburg. But here is one of those situations where you need to think for, yeah, so I just went for a scoop. So here is one of those situations where you need to think to yourself, what do you think will lethal them? And I think here, the answer here is pretty obvious that you'd probably go for Ziegenburg here because, 1, you don't have a way to retire out an extra intercept for the Novell to clear out their entire hand. And 2, he drove check 1 PG, he has 1 PG in damage, he drove check another PG, meaning double PG check from, the Ziegenburg force his hand to be minimum 2 PGs plus at least two more heal guards. And if I hit even 1 trigger for the left column, it'll just be game because that's because he cannot have the PG because the left column is scaling for a PG, and yeah, I don't think his hand can be that many guards. At most it'd be 2 PGs and 3 heal guards, and if he had that, he'd go into turn with nothing. If he didn't have that, he just died. So yeah, so here's one of those situations where you think to yourself, what do you think will kill? And here I think the answer here was pretty obvious. Please Ziegenburg. just knowing the information that was around for this specific game state. But yeah, if there were less PGs out, maybe I would consider going for Titan just to draw more cards. If he was a bunch of grade 3s, maybe go to Novell instead. If I had an extra way to retire, maybe I would have also gone for Novell. So just things to think about when playing this deck. But yeah, pretty short games actually for both these games, but because one, I didn't want to play the deck any more than I had to, and two, there just really isn't a whole lot to anything too special about this deck that you really need to know. That like showing more gameplay off would really be helpful in like too many ways. So yeah, so that's it for this video. That's it for the gameplay as well. Like, subscribe, all the good stuff. Tell me what you think about this deck down below in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.